Good day and welcome back straight into the fight of this week. It is Martin Roger's Leaderbot versus Purple Wave, and of course you're watching the Student StarCraft AI tournament. I thought for this week I'd start it up a little bit different with a little bit of action and Leaderbot, which still hasn't been updated, although we have been promised that for weeks or years or whatever, but Martin has been working hard on this new job and couldn't find the time to put the finishing touches on his AI. And that's a bloody shame because, well, I am still very much awaiting the final release, but perhaps it will be for CRG or one of the other major tournaments. But for now, we've got Purple Wave hitting off with a little bit of goon pressure, got the range done, of course siege mode is there as you can hear and see. So for now, Leaderbot should be okay on one base. And of course there is a turret to prevent any kind of DT shenanigans. Command center finishing on the high ground, and Leaderbot is still the only bot which does that. So that's all fine and well, and the scouting SUV is still there, and Purple Wave doesn't really care about it too much. So another 3 goons rolling up the line, and here comes the first blue soup of the day, and I doubt it will be the last. And now the 2 dragoons are going to town on these poor and hapless marines, and their friends are retreating. That's strange. But oh dear, I ticked the button and now I can't scroll anymore. Sorry about that. Let's try this. Oh damn. Sorry. I always get my knickers in a twist like that. But with this beautiful program I can restart. Take off wearing. Stopped. So, Purple Wave with the 3rd at the other end of the map, going for some map control, and Leaderbot with the tanks in the mineral line. That's characteristic and also very strange. And here comes some more blue soup. Here, there you go. Marines don't really cut it versus dragoons, and the tanks are out of reach, so that will take a while before... Oh, here we go again. And the poor dragoons, but they are going for another beating. And one tank may fall, or none of them at all, and the last one retreats and gets killed regardless. So, I can't really be too happy with that dragoon push, but for now we see that the 3rd is operational, more buildings get added in this new main. And I don't know what these cannons are going to do over here, because the ramp clearly is not here. But we'll go and find out if they will serve some purpose this game. Probe transfer in progress, more goons being built, and army-wise, Leaderbot is pulling ahead, and army value-wise, certainly, because there are 5 tanks, no repair. That's something that the more frequently updated Terrans do these days, but Leaderbot hasn't done that so far. So perhaps in the next update... Oh, and I should, yeah, put it on full screen. So, sorry. A couple of hiccups, and that is because I kept clicking on the menu over here. That's not a wise thing to do, as you have guessed, and we are back with the game. In full screen this time. So, Purple Wave with the Robo Bay at the 3rd. More pylons. Oh, and I think it's going to be a gateway and some kind of tech, Templar tech over here. Perhaps it's trying to hide some kind of a Dark Templar plot, but with the 2nd and 1st comset operational, lots of turrets all over the place. Leaderbot should be okay, should have spider mines, and I think that's very odd, but it's going for infantry armor and a bunker over here, and I think that's all very nice and defensive, but a little bit late. And here comes, if I'm not very much mistaken, some more blue soup, because Purple Wave sort of forgot about all the tanks, and here we go, killing some marines while losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is a very quick nursery rhyme. And that's just a lot of goons lost again. Leaderbot doesn't really care, doesn't really repair the tanks, but by now there are so many tanks that Purple Wave is going to have the devil of a time trying to stop that. And here comes, I believe, another base, or is that probe going to mine? It's going to mine. Is this probe then going to construct another base? No, that's a goon. And Purple Wave with a bit of suspicious gameplay, because it could have out-macroed Leaderbot with 3 more bases by now. Isn't really doing so. Here comes the 4th. Leaderbot still on 3-2 bases, going for a lot of tech. And the main by now is halfway mined out, and that's going to be a minor issue once this army starts, oh dear, stops walking into this kind of situation and bends around, kills this building. Just a bit of harass, but Purple Wave is just going for the head-on, full collision mode kind of thing. Oh, we've got a carrier, that's all nice. Let's see if the oh, the interceptor upgrade is there already. So it might take a while, and there are no Goliaths at all, just a handful of Marines. And Marines are pretty good too versus carriers, because they have so much firing power, especially with Stim, and Purple Wave is going to lose a hell of a lot. This composition of Leaderbots seems to be especially tailored versus Purple Wave. Lots of tanks, lots of bio, and with goons and carriers you aren't really, oh, and what is that stupid carrier going to do? It's going to hang straight over the Marines. The Marines do not, oh, here they go. Some of them acquire the target, and that is a sad way to go as a carrier, I can tell you that. Meanwhile, the goons and the zealots get busy beyond the bridges, oh, and kill yourself on a turret. That's the GG for that carrier at least. So, 5th base coming up, should be coming up, because Purple Wave's got a lot of resources. Probe is a little bit hesitant, but there we go. Yep, 5th base started. Leaderbot still has to start at 3rd. And although it's got quite a formidable army, it's got a lot of ground to traverse. Now crawling reavers, lone carriers, Purple Wave is coming off the hook. And another lone carrier going straight for it. The zealots tear into the Marines, but there are too many Marines, and meanwhile all the tanks roll up, and that's... oh dear. Perhaps that's not really the way Purple Wave would ideally like to play, but now the infantry is coming to grips with the Reavers, and infantry generally doesn't really like that, but there is so much of it, it doesn't really matter. So Purple Wave's only hope is that it can somehow dispel the Marines before the tanks reach the natural, and then it will be a whole different kind of battle. There is a lot of production capacity on this end, so it won't get locked out of its main. But you can see that this is quite a sizable tank body, and these two carriers, oh, they cut off the reinforcement now, that's probably much wiser. Oh, and a Reaver picking off a tank, but still, this is a nasty bit of a problem for Purple Wave, and Leaderbot is doing okay. He has taken the 3rd base, and might just as well, because the main is out, so it's a 2 base versus 4 rather, and losing the natural is not the end of the world. Losing the technology neither, because much of it is over here, and I think that's a nice setup by Purple Wave. And by now these 3 carriers, these 5 carriers, oh wow, are doing away with the infantry and reinforcements, and that means that this batch of tank is without air cover, and with 3 carriers overhead, tank numbers are falling precipitously, but still they can do a lot of damage, and lots of probes and dragoons will die in the process. But you can see the infantry is only now breaking through the carriers, and it's having some large issue with the interceptors. And although the damage output is there, they acquire all the wrong targets, and that makes for a lot of exposure over here. But these carriers, they're going for the infantry, and the infantry right now is not the problem. More carriers coming up, but attacking bio head-on like this, it's not really how you'd ideally like to play, perhaps, but the infantry is beaten back. The problem is that these tanks are unhindered in the main, or what used to be the main of Purple Wave. The assimilator's still standing, 1 carrier over here is taking care of the SUVs, and this match has devolved completely because I can't really see this, and the bio by now has decided the carriers are too much. They aren't returning fire anymore. And that will, of course, not go so well in the long run. And what is there going to be a pylon heart in the middle of the map? I don't know, but 3 pylons have been started already. And 5th base mining, it's still 3 bases, might take a 4th. This firebat is going to find the base, but not going to enjoy it very much. And the carriers have now completely overrun the main base. The infantry stopped firing, and only now when it reached the ramp to the main, resumes battle, but a little bit late because all the tanks, oh, the tanks are in the middle of the map now, killing the pylons, but as more and more carriers are being sent over, I think this is going to be a foregone conclusion that Purple Wave will win this game. Now with 2 carriers over the tanks, that's going to be a finite expedition with only the 3rd mining and a large cloud of carriers augmented by 2 Reavers in the main base. I think that's going to be the GG. And there we go, tanks all cleaned up, more reinforcements coming, and random buildings being constructed in the middle of the map. And I like Purple Wave not retaking this natural, although it was one of its original bases, just going for the higher yield, newer expansions. This base of Leader Bots won't be constructed, and that is the GG. And yeah, I had some kind of a game plan, or a plan to how to run this cast. I got a lot of recommendations. Oh dear, no, I don't want to look for an app in the App Store, I just want to play the game. So next game up is a promise that I should have kept last week, but then I totally forgot it. I said, well, we got a new bot, it's called FIFO Legend, and we'll just call it FIFO because that's much easier on the tongue for now, or Legend. And Legend is a new bot, and let's see what it is capable of. I pitted it against Goliath, one of the Terran bots of the University of Carlos III from Madrid. So not too strong an opponent, and as we can see, with the 2 barracks thing with a couple of depots, that seems to be perfectly mirrored over here. Only that Goliath is not building another barrack, so it's 1 barracks with depots versus surely we ought to have another barracks or something, some kind of attack building. Now Legend is going for more depots. So far so good, and 3 barracks, that's nice and dandy. You can see the army supply diverging a little bit because, well, from 3 barracks you can build more than from just 1. And here comes the army. And the army is going to get stuck over here for some reason. So let's keep an eye on the other army. It's going to move out. And meanwhile, another barracks has been constructed. Immediately resumes, commences production of marines. No tech units otherwise. And both players got a lot of gas, but not really doing anything with that at the moment. Legend reinforcing the push with submarines, while Goliath is going to occupy this spot over here. And by now we have 1 more depot being added, and just, oh, that's very good. A factory. Oh, and a factory and an academy over here. So with medics, I think that Goliath's army is going to be a little bit stronger. And here comes the micro, and it's just like Verdun, but then without the artillery. Oh, and the army's coming back from Legend, that's good, and completely mopping up Goliath's army. So now it's a 20 supply lead. Oh, and the natural's being constructed with a depot right in the way of the refinery. Don't know if that's going to make much sense in the long run, and a bunker in a random place. Nicely spaced depots, you can see that same principle going over here, so nothing getting stuck. And now the medics are fighting completely without support. But there is a tank, and now there are some marines on the high ground with the medic, and if these medics do catch up eventually, and if these units do turn and start to fight, I think that Goliath might just hold this. The problem I envision is for the long run, because a 2 versus 3 base situation is not going to be well, too sustainable for the 1 base. And of course here you can see that the units aren't really microed all that well. And without siege mode, these tanks are basically worthless versus bio, so that's... but still, from the high ground, Goliath is holding the push. And here we go, this SCV is going to be killed. And we see an armory, a wraith. Will we see any upgrades? Yeah, tank upgrade, weapon range, and that's about it. Finally, no, that's not the natural being taken, there was some kind of a factory. And Goliath still holding, but the main's running low. So let's see how that's going to work. More forces being ferried over, the army is about double for Legend. And Legend happily producing units upon units and is now going for a lot of upgrades all at once, which will mean a superior army in the near future. And of course, well, that's the upgrade for... what might it be? Can't really make it out. Okay, well that will be something probably. And the army is running back and forth. Oh, and here the defenses have been broken. So that's going to be the GG Legend coming off with a nice victory, building placement, a little bit spacey, but so far all functionality is there. Building placement could be, there is some kind of mesh going on. But it is not really as it should be yet, but it's functional, and we'll be looking for it to the future to see what it's going to do. And that was the end of that. So let's hop into the next game. And I must confess that there are a lot of recommendations and some games I picked myself, so I don't really know which are which anymore. I think this was one of the recommendations. It's Andrew Smith's Skynet, the Protoss Gosu from 2013, and the opponent is the Right Honourable Locutus MP. And Locutus, well, I should tell you now because otherwise it's going to take forever, has been demoted to number 2. Crazio's been gaining a little bit back, it's 40-ish points, and then Ironbot, and then the rest of the pack. So top 3 is clear, and behind that is just one big feeding frenzy. But still, Crazio has regained number 1 position, and we'll be watching it closely because of that. So the perfect wall being constructed by Locutus, and Skynet is just going for a couple of gateways and the wild goose chase with the probe. And I think that unless we solve that as a community, this scouting probe and then the army chasing, we don't really look like much of an AI community. So someone please devise something to stop that. I could envision a dozen ways, but this just doesn't work. Building a 2-gate and then getting stuck on starting a probe, that's not the way to do it. So Locutus with the wall up, and with a worker deficit at this moment because it's been not been able to produce probes full time. Oh, and the same thing going on here, but this scouting probe is just going to be a little bit of a pest and is detracting some 2 workers, and that's good. But you can see that the worker count will be more balanced eventually. Oh, and I think that the goons put a stop to that scouting probe, so that's good. Both players going for the goon range, and Locutus going for the +1, which will be a huge boon. And with a 2 versus 1 base, and of course the probe trying to get out to either scout or plan down another nexus is being hindered by the initial army, so there we go. Now Locutus is making contact and now hasn't really got much of a chance because Skynet has a huge army. It's 4 times that of Locutus, and Locutus has got a couple of cannons and has got the eco advantage, but that's going to be a stiff fight it's facing right now. And snipes the first zealot, snipes a couple of zealots, but then finds itself back to the wall. And then it's going to be about the cannons, and these cannons, although the army has got the +1 armor started, I think that, oh dear, Skynet sensing freedom, immediately going for a double expand, a couple of probes idling, probe numbers are quite respectable, and now you can see that Skynet is doing this push masterfully. Locutus is, well, stuck with a very small army. It should be able to hold, but then again the natural's taking damage as well. And Skynet has got the natural operational now. So with a 2 versus 34 army, I don't think this game is going to last much longer. And Skynet, the master of old, is a monster, as is demonstrated here again. And while the modern game with Crazio and Ironbot still being on top-ish, or Ironbot number 3, Crazio somehow still the number 1, all the development at this moment is in Protoss play. I hope to be able to show you with the replays I've chosen and been suggested that some of the new tricks will be shown. But you can see that a SimCity at the natural choke is the de facto standard. And Banana Brain has posted an update as well, is going for some kind of gun pressure, but with range versus cannons that might not be the ideal counter and could much better have chosen some kind of 2-gate wall scout. This, and Tyr is going for a wall of cannons with a quick natural, and only now a couple of gates. So for the near future, Banana Brain might have the army advantage. That said, Tyr Protoss will catch up quickly because his natural has been running a little bit longer. Probe-wise, perfectly balanced. Army-wise, small advantage to Banana Brain. Upgrade, well, pretty balanced too. And that is the Observer's sight range for some reason. I don't know what that's about. And Banana Brain is tearing straight into the wall. The Zealots come out to help him defend. And with 3 observers, they can see the slaughter, but you can see that Banana Brain lost horribly in that engagement while it was fighting under the wall of the cannon. Now, with the 3rd base operational and the 4th base started, Banana Brain is just going for full macro mode and all kinds of upgrades, and you can see Storm being done, lots of upgrades. That's the observer range, that's the observer speed. I don't know what that's about. Perhaps some kind of a devious Dark Templar ploy being hatched. We've got the Templar Archives, and if we take... well, I'm not going to use production tab too much. I think that spoils the whole operation. So with 3 observers, small army, Tier Protoss is massing its huge army. That's pretty well done, and it's more than double, it's just about double the size of that of Banana Brain. And Banana Brain has got a High Templar. Is Storm ready? Yes, Storm's ready, but energy is not there yet. And, oh, this one cast a Storm. Probes are getting stuck, and now the battle is on. And although a nice Storm got off, I think that Banana Brain is with the back to the wall. And just like last game, a decently timed push can do so much damage, and these Templars should be further in the rear. Are there going to be any Dark Templar? It's to be hoped, because otherwise it's not going to happen at all. But with the 3rd and 4th bases operational and a 5th base started, all the production is over here, and the army is so small, and the only thing that might help now is a Dark Templar switch and try and snipe the enemy. Oh god, we've got an Arbiter, that's cool. So if you were to snipe this Observer, you might have a bit of something to do, but then again, where are the observers of Banana Brain? That's really the question. Oh, there is one over here. The High Templar has got enough of a storm, so if it gets lucky and snipes this poor hapless observer, something might still work, because this is not as bad as it seems. This choke can be held, the cloaked units can do a lot of good defending, and with a couple of well-placed storms on clumped units, it might still work for Banana Brain. Banana Brain, of course, has got 3 colonies, and if it were to add a little bit of production over there, it might still fare decently well. Then again, Tier Protoss still got 3 times the army that Banana Brain's got, and although it's losing some units while deconstructing this gateway, oh dear, Storm totally fluffed. And now, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, the observers of Banana Brain got killed, while the observer of Tier Protoss is still there. So this cloak thing not really coming off the ground, and the storm being perfectly dodged. No production being added over here. That's a major loss. And Tier Protoss now with a 3rd base could add some production of its own, but it's got the army lead, still more than double. And although Banana Brain is holding valiantly at this narrow choke, the storms just don't seem to hit. There are no Dark Templars, and Tier Protoss has got all the army in the world it can spend. Cannon's not really coming into play. Oh dear, and that's not the right position to take a natural, again, I can tell you that. But the Templar crowd is growing, and with Templars and Cloaked Goons, it might be able to fare pretty well, but it would be much wiser to keep these Templars out of harm's way a little bit more. Now you can see all the mining is going extremely well, but there is no army production. Oh, and the storms, well, they somehow fluff, sometimes hit a little bit. But you can see that the army disparity is changing again in Banana Brain's favor. And 1 or 2 good storms more, and this contain will be over. Because with the, yep, there we go, catch another observer. Banana Brain should be careful not to decrease the goon count too much, but I think that Tier will not be able to sustain this contain for very much longer, because Banana Brain's got the better economy. The natural's running out for Tier, main is out, and this base is still up and running, but in a rather precarious location, and immediately as Banana Brain breaks out, oh dear, you can see now it has got the double army supply, and is chasing back Tier's army and the 3rd as well. So now it's a 1 base, pretty much mined out versus all the map, and immediately as the natural's been retaken, you can see the Templar train rolling up. Lots of goons, lots of zealots, upgrade wise. Banana Brain is miles ahead of Tyr. And Tyr had a nice timing attack, but couldn't break the last, what do you call it, the last choke. And although these storms aren't... oh, that one was pretty good. So between the storms and the superior army, Banana Brain is rolling up in style, balancing probes like a master, and then upgrading its way out of there. So that's pretty well done. Nicely timed Arbiter. Now the Natural's out, and that was the game because Tyr Protoss' army is dead. And of course, insult and injury. Banana Brain looking to be in great shape, and small peek at where it is at this moment on the ladder. ELO rating, Crazy on top, the cutest Ironbot, Reaver, Purple Wave, TCMU, and then Banana Brain, Willybot and Killerbot still high up there, and Andrei Kurdimov is doing pretty well itself. That's impressive, especially for a random bot. Steamhammers, Cherry Pie, Literbot still up there, Skynet, Microwave, and there are just so many good bots right now. It's out of this world. But not to make the cast too long, let's get another game of Mr. Legend, and Legend has also uploaded a random bot, this time rolling as Protoss. Let's see what it is going to do. The opponent at the other end of the map is Madmix, the big game hunters bot adapted for play on normal money maps, and is sending out a large number of Marines, but there are some zealots which, well, the Marines think better of it and head back home. Now, more gateways, gas being mined. Nothing too spectacular yet, and you can see that Legend has got only 10 workers, so macro-wise isn't really as good as it could have been. And Madmix is just going for a more macro-heavy style. Losing a lot of workers though. These Marines can't really make up their mind. Are they going to attack? Are they going to defend? And before they've sorted that out, the entire Natural has been depopulated, losing some medics. Oh, now the Zealot's turn to do a runner, while they should have fought. And the medic gets healed up, so that's pretty good. Madmix being in great shape, and Legend has rebuilt, or built actually, I should say, a couple of workers, but is still in a pretty bad shape because it got so few workers and no Natural, so the Marines are rolling up. And with the medics, have they got stim? Yes, that's a very neat trick for Terrans. Build Marines, build medics, get stim, and 1A, 2A, 3A into victory. Legend, well, still building workers, but rather slowly, and will leave the enemy a lot of time, and there you go. Stimmed army breaches the defense with a couple of zealots. And for now, welcome to the drawing board. And this was another recommendation. It's a Banana Brain as the Protoss and TCMU Random, and TCMU Random appears to be playing Terran, and TCMU Terran's pretty good, so this should be a decent game. Starting up the initial phase of the game rather quickly, and again Banana Brain with this map. It's called Dongjing Wei San, or whatever that is in English. But TCMU going for the quick natural 2 for Banana Brain. But I think that Banana Brain will have to fight a very good battle because between Tyr Protoss and Banana Brain, I think that no, Tyr Protoss and TCMU Terran, I think TCMU Terran is rather more devious and sturdy. That said, Tyr Protoss brought the pressure on a little earlier, and now there are Templars with Storm or Templars with Energy and Storm prepping already. And TCMU Protoss is taking middle expansion, which is pretty ballsy, and trying to defend that with the infantry. First the Zealots, that works pretty well, and although the base gets lost, oh, and this is going to be where it hurts, because one more Storm, no, a small detachment coming from the bottom wipes out the Dark Templar because it can't cast its next Storm. Third base up for Banana Brain, TCMU of course restarting the third. And that's a pretty ballsy position to take, and it's going to play some kind of a bio build that's really wacky. Especially since Banana Brain already committed to Templar, and the Templar will have the energy upgrade as well, perhaps later. And Banana Brain really saying, well, macro, YOLO, and let's go with that. Now the infantry of TCMU is very flexible, and you can see what amount of damage it can do with the stim, and this probe transfer is being cut short to bits. Oh, that's really crazy. And TCMU fighting two wars all at once, and then thinks the better of it, just going for the one war. Although the Storms do atrocious amount of damage to the Marines, The natural is dead. The third is up for grabs. This base over here isn't finished yet. And I think perhaps with a couple of Reavers you might be in a better position because they don't need to gather energy forever. Now the fire bats are killing some more probes and are reaching the probe line. This is going to be so bloody. And the Goon and the Zealot, well, they play with the Marine and the Medics a bit, but by now all the probes are gone. So it's a 50 versus 7 probe situation right now. And TSMU with all the bio it can have, and it's still only 130, 140 army supply, and that is really how you do it. That's such a lot of infrastructure. Upgrade-wise, +1 is finished, and Stim is there already. So does it have the science facility for level 3 upgrade yet? Doesn't look like it, but I think that's going to be started here, unless that's another barracks. And you can see this huge 70 supply bio army rolling over the map. It is completely unstoppable by anything Protoss. And Banana Brain still only got 1 probe, and that 1 probe is mining gas, so that should be rebalanced. But at this point, I feel it doesn't really matter anymore. TSMU is growing and growing in army supply, now 100. And will produce more. All the barracks are flashing. TSMU's keeping his money down nicely. No level 2 upgrade yet, that's rather strange, but here comes the science facility. Oh, and that's needed, of course, for the number 2 upgrades. That was the starport. Might time that a little bit better, and as soon as the science facility is finished, immediately number 2 upgrades will be started. And TSMU roaming the map with his huge 130 supply army. I think I'm going to call the GG and hop into the next game, which is Gibot versus Iron. And Iron hasn't been updated in a while, but it can still pack a decent fight. It's still the number 3, and that is with all the activity in the upgrade section. And I should show you that as well, because if you look what has been updated last week, it's now the June 9th, and well, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 upgrades for today. Oh, it was yesterday, 4 yesterday. Day before that, 4. Day before that, 2, 3 more. And when we are back until the well, that is really a lot of upgrades. How can that be? Oh, it's 2000. Oh, damn it! It's reset again. I hate it when it does that. So June the 8th, 6, 7, 4, and this is May. So from McRae Zerg upwards, that's about 15 bots which are under active maintenance, and that is pretty hard to keep up with if you haven't got the time to update your bot. And the updates which have been made are not only cosmetic, some of them are very substantial. See Locutus, see Banana Brain, and of course see Crazio, which is struggling to fight its way out of being stuck with a voracious Protoss or a voracious brace of Protoss, Banana Brain, Locutus, keeping Iron off its back, and of course struggling still with TSMU Terran, because that is still a masterful TVT player as well. So Gibot also updated, and Gibot is growing stronger every time, has got some issues with placing his command center, sending 2 probes, which doesn't really work. And Ironbot getting an FCV stuck. Oh, that's very unfortunate. I hope the build order doesn't get stuck because of that. But the wall is in time to keep the scouting probe out, and that's always a good idea. And looks to be going for another barracks. But Gibot with another... Oh dear, that's very good. Is there range yet? There is range, so it's a 2-goon range harass with a quick nexus. That is a pretty good build. And you can see that Iron really hasn't got anything at this moment. It's built a command center for some reason, and is still constructing factories. But meanwhile, 3 goons have pushed through the depot, and one of them is stuck for some reason, and they're killing the barracks. But now they're in among the SCVs, and although army is being produced, that's mainly vultures, and vultures without mines versus 4 ranged goons, 5 ranged goons, and I must be very much mistaken unless more are coming. And with a shuttle, I don't know what's in the shuttle yet, but we're going to find out, I hope still. These goons are completely overrunning the base. They should do something about these vultures, but as the worker numbers are decreasing as much as they are, it is not going to work at all. And the shuttle is going to fly circles about things, but the mining has been completely stalled. And Oh, that's no, though. That's a land command center with on top a floating command center. That's pretty good. The vultures with the mines do something, but then again, the entire base has been depopulated. And Gibot, well, interesting building placement, but taking Game of Iron, so that's not bad at all. Iron's got 5 vultures, 4 vultures, but from here on in, it's going to be a countdown nursery rhyme again, and let's hop into the next game. Oh, damn it, I can't. I'm so silly sometimes. So, it's Alice versus Oprimo, and Oprimo is of course the random bot by Johan Hagelbach. As you can use it if you are starting out with Brute War AI, it hasn't got as many features as Steamhammer or one of the other great bots, but it has all 3 races. The documentation is fairly nice, and the graphical user interface, if you can see this on stream, is pretty decent as well. And you can see now that it mined a little bit of gas. I think it's going to go for Zergling speed or something, and it's going for a quick round of Zerglings. And Alice has got 2 hatches. Is going, I think, to build a sunken, but the Lings had better pop really quickly, otherwise it's going to be a bit of a problem. And here comes the problem. The drones defend, 1 drone dies, 2 drones die, and that's about it. So Alice still got the worker lead, got the advantage in hatcheries, but Oprimo's going for a quick lair, and I think with Hydra Den that will be lurkers. Now, Alice, what are you going to do? Mine a lot of money, build a lot of Zerglings. Have you got speed? Oh well, that's the lurker aspect, no speed getting started for either player. Oprimo's got a lot of money, should start another hatchery with that. But this seems to be some kind of a pre-programmed, hard-coded build. 4 lurkers coming up, and wow, still more Zerglings, but not all that many. And Alice got a lot of money, and here come the lurkers. So, okay, I don't know what that's about. That's going to be a Hydra Den, and it's really beyond me what's happening. This is a contain. Oh yeah, well of course, you cannot build something over here. Should be ferrying over an Overlord, but that's not happening. And here comes another drone. Oh no, it's not. So Alice not really wanting to start another thing here. Building some kind of tech building over there, and the natural for Oprimo is there. Worker transfer, but the worker count all in all is pretty low, and now has got a Spire. So I think that's a very neat strategy, trick the enemy into fighting lurkers. And Alice is doing something completely wacky, spending a lot of money on something. The army is still pretty small, and here come the Muters. They are going to do something, bit of defense for Oprimo. Pretty nice scouting with 1 Zergling going on, and oh, the Hydra just makes it out there with a sliver of health left. 2 slivers as it is, and lots of hatcheries. But with all these drones, I don't think it's going to work rather well. And oh dear, this is going to be so bloody. But the lurkers do take a fair bit of damage. That's good. So for the time being, Oprimo is okay, and Oprimo hasn't got the minerals. These bots are spending minerals on things that I can't really think of what, and this is a very inefficient way to fight lurkers. Small peep at the unit screen, a lot of Hydras, Hydra, Muta. So this is going to devolve into Hydra versus Muta. The lurkers have been cleared. And the Muta Cloud is over there and hasn't got any upgrades, so far so good. No new bases taken by either player. Oh, well, there we go. Here come the Mutas, and here stands an army of Hydras, and here stands some more. Upgrade-wise, neither unit has got many upgrades. Oh dear, and here we go. The fight is on, so the reinforcing Hydras are being sent over. This batch is going to suffer a little bit, will be completely wiped out before that. And with all the secondary damage coming up, oh, and these Hydras coming in at the Congo line are going to suffer a fair bit, but there are just very many. You can see Alice has got the supply lead. Oh, Oprimo taking a 3rd base. That's not all that often that you see that. And now I think that although the Mutas are doing quite well, they are going to be beaten back eventually and be wiped out to the last Muta. And another one. And here come more lurkers. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The wholesale slaughter, but still the Hydras have it. And now Oprimo's got the third. The main is getting low for Alice. Alice is not attacking for some reason, and although there are Evo chambers all over the place, there are no upgrades being built, so could do with another upgrade in that department. The Hydras are healing up a bit, and Oprimo is happily mining away. Its main is still full of money because it has got so few drones, and it's got 51 on 2 bases. This is going to be one of the bigger probe explosions of the season, I can tell you that. Oh, and here we go. The mutas coming in again are going to be beaten back again, because this is actually much more interesting. And they will all congregate in this area over here. I know I'm not missing an attack. Small peek on the minimap. Oh dear. Boom! There you go. Oh, that's a nice dense drone train. Look at it go. It's really absurd. But with only 1 base left and Oprimo having 3 and willing to build lurkers and mutas. Oh dear, this is going to be so painful. Still no upgrades for either player. The lurkers are cutting off the edge of... Ooh! Oh, that's... could have been handled a little bit better by these Hydras. But Oprimo is going to do its thing of 3 bases, and this base will be mined out on record speed with these 51 workers on 1 base. And, oh well, let's see how it's going to pan out. Oh, the lurkers get wiped out, but at what cost? So many damage mutas. Oh, and boom, there we go. Nice drone explosion. And here come the mutas again. So 40 versus 40, 30 versus 30. Oprimo is rebuilding, of course, a little bit better. The Hydra's getting stuck amongst the drones, and although the Hydra cloud is thinning, there is no reinforcement coming up for Oprimo, so that's that, as they say. And now the mutas have won the field. There is only 1 army left. I don't know what it is, where it is. Is it here? Is it there? No, I don't know. Oh, it's dead now. Gone. So, next game, Eric Hammer vs Egbert. Eric Hammer had its spell of dominating Iron, rising to number 2 on the ladder because of that. But then Iron got better, and Eric Hammer lacked another upgrade. Oh, sorry, that was a bit much. And Egbert has been working hard, but so far hasn't really gotten a grand plan together, a grand design for its way to domination. But the amount of time spent, well, I can only commend that, because it will give you more insights in how things work. And this is a nice sim city with a third just outside the walls in the direction of the enemy. Still no one taking the island maps. I think that's going to be needed, especially on this map. Light contain being pushed back. And now the question will be, when this hybrid army starts rolling out, what will Eric Hammer do to try and stop that? Because its army is absolutely tiny. There are some mutas, but of course versus a bio army of this size it can't really affect that much. Let's see if there are going to be upgrades. Yep, there are going to be upgrades, so these 2 players are a little bit more advanced than the last 2. But Egbert has things well under control with... oh dear, the mutas are being so aggressive and paying the price, killing 1 marine at a time, but taking so much damage each volley of these marines, but they keep the marines stinning, which will lead to less energy in the medics. That's good. And now you can see this Congo line being a little bit susceptible to harassment. Eric Hammer, though, hasn't really got the forces. Perhaps when the Zergans catch up, and it's only to be hoped that these mutas will have some health left by then. Could just wait until the marines arrive here, but then the third would be up for grabs as well, and that could be potentially very dangerous. So the Zergans in the rear, the mutas in the front. Mutas are so very low, and I think it's a wise decision to treat this marine army with all the respect it deserves. But the marine army is petering out somewhat. The reinforcements aren't all that quick, and the mutas, they do take their toll. And here we go, the Lings are coming in, and although the mutas are suffering horribly, Eric Hammer hasn't got much army to fight with anymore. These mutas are so low. Egbert, for the time being, is beaten back, being sent home, and now the map is Eric Hammer's to Rome. Lots of tech. Queen's Nest going to be a hive, going to be perhaps lurkers. but now the contain is on the part of Arikama, and this building will not be constructed, I fear. Nice choke for these Stint Marines with the medics, but the Mutas are in over here, and they should really wait and gather up some health again, because that's so very expensive. And here the Mutas, the Hydras, are taking a lot of damage from these Marines. Marines appear to be well upgraded, yeah, +1 range, got the stim, got siege mode, got lurker aspect. And Arikama could take, well, basically the entire map now, but isn't doing so. Is just going for the bust, and Egbert can't really get an army together anymore because he's building so many expensive buildings while trying to defend versus these desperate Mutas, as well as versus the small infantry conglomerate that Arikama has raised. So Arikama now getting stuck on the bunker, killing some SCVs with the Mutas on top. You can see this going nowhere because there are only 2 workers left for Egbert, and then whatever damage you do take on your army, it's going to be horrible. And the Zerglings save the lurkers. There is no army left. There are no workers left for Egbert. And nice scan on top of the lurkers, but without anything to kill them. Oh, and the Defiler. A little bit late. Macro a little bit late as well, but Arikama taking things in style. That's pretty good. And let's say GG, back into the next game. No, well, that's not the new bot. Where have I got the new bot game? Oh, that will be up next game. So, Styx Zerg also received an update, and Toothpick Cactus, the Gosu Terran. And these 2 players are just going to have to duke it out on this map Icarus to see which one of them is best. And I don't really have a cool story about either of them, but so far they have been showing some promise. And let's see what they're going to do with not a weak and not a too strong opponent. I think this is basically pretty much balanced. So Lurker play by Styx in the offing, and Toothpick Cactus has not yet got an academy. Might perhaps build mines anytime soon, but here come the Lurkers already, and the Vultures are going to die, and the Lurkers will reach the mineral line. That's not good at all. Will we now see an academy? Yes, so some kind of an adaptive play going on. But will it be in time? That's the question. What's worrying me even more is that the army size of Toothpick is so small, and the 1 tank it's got will die. Comsat is there, but there aren't any forces anymore to fight off the Lurkers. So pretty well done by Styx, and that shows you that cloaked units, be it from an Arbiter, Dark Templars, or Wraiths, or Lurkers, are still pretty strong. And none of the original Lurkers has been killed. Turret being thrown up in haste. SCVs trying to kill the Lurkers, but then again you already know how that's going to pan out. And that's the GG. So next game up, it's a new bot. It's Proxy and the Cuters. I have been recommended this game, but I don't really know why you would put a new bot versus number 2, which is such an incredibly nasty brute war playing monster. But perhaps we are going to see and find out. Usually no bad games get recommended, and although you can't see it because of the overlay, it's not really a short game. So let's see. The Cuters going for the Immaculate War once again, with the Gateway and a quick expansion behind that, and Proxy going for a macro-ish Zerg style. No third base, that was a Hydra. Smallish army, lots of workers, always like that. Lots of workers, lots of tech, and the Hydras are mulling about like crazy fish in a cave, grotto, watery kind of thing, without much of a plan. So now the Protoss army's there, they move out. Have they got any upgrades? They have got any upgrades. So with good range versus Hydra range and speed, and with the numbers as they are, I think the Hydras have pretty much got it. With the cannons, I don't think they could break that, and of course they should learn to group up a little bit better. The Goon Micro is superior, and when the cannons will be reached, oh, that's a lot of dead goons though, and they're going for, oh, that's very good. They are not going for the cannons, they're going for the Forge. And there you go, they're just going to go for it. And will the Cuters be busted? No, because there are so many shots landed on the Gateway, and although that is good for breaking down a wall, while you are taking so much fire, it isn't and no third base behind this. So lots of pressure by the Hydras, but you can see Lecutus is doing well with the goons, and the goons of course have got superior micro. These Hydras are too easily distracted by buildings which aren't the first priority and probes. But still, some blows are being chased. Let's see, production tab is army, 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 and Lecutus of course is trying to rebuild, but it's with the back to the wall. The last cannon is still standing. One more, no, that's the forge. There is no forge anymore, so no more cannons yet. And you can see that Proxy is going to go for a lot more pressure, more cannons being thrown up, but still when the Zerglings hit, these goons will be distracted as well. And you can see the cannons being demolished record speed. The probes are being hindered as well. So although Lecutus has got more workers, it hasn't got the economy right now because the probes are going to have to come off the line. And Proxy is bearing... Proxy is charging in now. The goons on the high ground beat it back once more. The pylon is going to fall, and once this Nexus falls, I fear it's going to be curtains for Lecutus. And Lecutus, what can it do? Has it got some kind of secret tech up its sleeve? It's going for the +1, that's always a good idea, but it will have to bear off. And now the Lings are in among the mineral line. It's a 2 versus 1 base situation. The goon, they can't micro out here. These high ground goons could do a lot of damage, but Proxy has got the upper hand for some reason. And although the army of Lecutus is bigger, is stronger, Lecutus is more determined to win this fight. Still no third base. You can see it's just a 2-base push. No more upgrades coming in. And perhaps that the +1... Oh, the plus... Oh, dear, oh dear. Lecutus has just managed to bring it back from the brink of death. +1 will finish momentarily. And I think that without a third, this aggression of Proxies will falter. It's still fighting hard, but once Lecutus gets a goon cloud this size, look at how tight it keeps its front. That is so beautiful to watch. The combat sim of enemy bots will see with a circular vision a straight line of goons. It will, and if they're coming at the enemy in a straight line, Combat Simulator will nearly always say, well, let's not have any of that and run back. But then again, the units reinforcing are still pulling up, and that results into nearly no shots fired, and Lecutus being able to do as much damage as it possibly could. Now Lecutus wants to pressure us off, going for more pylons. Might throw up another couple of cannons, but it's by no means sure that Lecutus, that Proxy hasn't got a third base. Proxy hasn't got a third base, of course. And I think I know how this is going to pan out. The goon number will increase. It's 50 versus 14 army supply now. And it's going to get progressively worse for Proxy because of that. Still fighting, but no shots being fired. You see all these goons are still at full shield. And the Zerglings don't even reach the goons anymore. Oh, one goon got killed. 2 goons got killed because of the bridge. But then again, once the bridge has been cleared, it will be a 1A, 2A, 3A operation with the third base started. Proxy, nice build, but then again you need to be able to follow it up, and now the main's running out. The Hydras are being put with the back to the wall. Probe transfer, third base operational, main base of course being a little bit out. And yeah, Lecutus buckling under the pressure but holding its ground, and that is going to be the GG. So I think I've got 4 games left, and again the broadcast is going to be a little bit longer than I'd ideally like to, but it's just so addicting and have all these good games played out in front of you. And of course I'd like to hear myself talk, that too. So this game, we've got middle school strats, and the middle school strat appears to be about a 4 pool. And I don't know why I had this. Oh, because I wanted to show the update of IFBot. So IFBot with the first Marine there, and the... Ooh, there is no more income yet for IFBot. And Marine gets killed. So middle school strats can be pretty effective versus IFBot. And IFBot says, well, if what, and just go for the 4 pool and cheat. Okay, so on my timetable that saves a little bit of time. Next game up, IGJBot versus ICE. And IG, I don't know much about, but it got an update and I thought, well, let's expand my knowledge and see what it's going to do. Gas and an Overlord and then a spawning pool, I think that's the good decision. Might go for a quick expansion. ICE, we know what ICE is going to do, but ICE is still pretty reliable, and you need to have a pretty good build to be able to put that down. And then again, we've had a handful of Zerglings coming over, And, oh yes, there we go. Oh, sacrificing Overlord, or are the thingies going to run by the Zerg? Now with 2 Marines in there, the Overlord is not going to pass. And for the time being, IGJ bot is doing okay with the Zerglings, but it's not going to break this bunker. And now Ice is going for another barracks, feeling the pressure. It is rather responsive, but it's a bit sluggish in doing so. It's, well, the last time it received an update, which was somewhere in 2013, the pace was a little bit slower than it is now. But it's still pretty responsive and still the only bot which uses high ground for its tanks. Ice moving on a little bit with oh dear. And that, I think, is scouted the spire, and it thinks, well, let's build some turrets and another bunker and some more turrets over here, hopefully as well. And it's staying on Marines for the near future. Now, IGJ is going for some Mutas. I think that's good. Have we got any upgrades? No, we haven't got any upgrades yet. Production-wise, Icebot is going to be in a much better shape once it put down its natural, which it will be able to do so because it's saving money. Yep, there we go. And now the Marines are defending versus a lone couple of Mutas. That's not really going to frighten it very much. But IGJ has got the natural up and is now sort of stuck on this power generator. And I really think it's a bit cruel to have these maps with neutral buildings because bots don't really understand them. These neutral buildings are placed on top of the map on positions where they can't really be sometimes. Like here, it should not be a buildable location with this small cutout from the low ground over there. So the normal pathfinding algorithm doesn't really apply to neutral buildings in impossible places. So bots need to have custom pathfinding to deal with that, and that's of course very hard to code and a strain on your computing power. Now Ice with the natural up and running, lots of buildings going for the Goliath with, of course, the Karen boosters, the Goliath range. And between Marines and Goliaths, I don't think these Mutas off 2 bases have much of a chance. Any upgrades for them? No, not yet. So IGJ with a low drone count, and all the drones are over here, should be a little bit more balanced. But Ice is going to do this with a pure anti-air army. Look at it, 3 Valkyries, lots of Goliaths, infantry, no medics, that could be an improvement. And +1 ground weapons is of course coming online as well. So 3rd base nearly done, and that's a nice grouping of Mutas. But I sincerely doubt it's going to do any good, because you can see Icelab's got the superior army. And once these, if only the Valkyries, that's 6 Valkyries I think. 6 Valkyries make their way over, these Mutas would have a ball until the Goliaths are rocked up, and then it would be a pretty much good game. Worker count increasing for IGJ, but a little bit too slow because Ice has already got 73 workers on 4 bases. And here comes the hammer. But the Mutas took exactly this time to try and damage the enemy. And here comes the ride of the Valkyries. Let's see how this first blow is going to be. Oh, this one's pretty brave. The Mutas are going after, what are they going after? Not the Valkyries. So if you are going to do an attack, and if you are not going to bother about Valkyries, it might just look like this. Oh god, that was pretty painful. And the Valkyries completely smack down the Mutas, unless they're not being targeted at all. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And now Ice has got a 100 supply army and is just going to roll over pretty slowly. A couple of Mutas here and there, no turrets in the main, that's something of which Ice should have sorted out some time ago. But as there was no update, it doesn't really matter anymore. So now rocking the boat with the Goliaths and lots of money in the bank. This Muta thing might just occupy Ice for a little bit more, but then again it's not too much of a concern because the main base looks like this. So that was that, and then I have got 2 recommendations left. Acutus vs Crazio and Ironbot vs Banana Brain. So I think both matches are equally interesting, but I start with Ironbot vs Banana Brain because the Cutis and Crazio are the number 1 and 2, and it will be interesting to see how they fight as a nice closer of today's broadcast. So Ironbot with a depot and then a barracks and then a refinery, a scouting SCV underway, and Banana Brain with no SimCity. In that it differs somewhat from the Cutis, but it's going to be, looks like 2-gate goon pressure with range. And there you go, the scouting SCV gets dispelled, and Iron hasn't got a unit in the world, and there are ranged goons rocking up, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem. But then again, this building will take a lot of fire, and now the tank will do a lot of damage with the repair, and the repair is so good for Iron. That, oh dear, oh dear, and the goons got distracted by this building, which is very interesting for them for some reason. I don't know what's going to be, a barracks or a command center on the high ground perhaps. I think yes, and I like Iron doing that, but oh well, we'll see. So now Banana Brain in an okay position, but all the maps being mined up, and that will take some additional effort to clear, and then be able to take a third. Some vultures are being lost, that's very uncharacteristic, and you can see that is not going to go well. So Ironbot, Banana Brain, worker-wise, huge advantage for Banana Brain. Ironbot has got something of a mobility advantage, and of course there are spider mines, and the Dark Templar thing isn't really taking off right now because the map is mined up. Straight path, couple of mines, that's a very good idea to have. Now, Ironbot is not as meticulous in its construction of minefields or mining up expansion as it used to be, but still pretty good, and taking a couple of shots at probes, and meanwhile catching up nice and dandily in the work count and the tank count. And this tank on the high ground, would that be on purpose or accidental? I don't know. I think they're going to try and make a large wide concave around this choke, so not the high ground, otherwise it would have been here. It would have been much more efficient versus these goons. But Iron is in an okay position, I feel. And here you can see the probe not being able to construct. Nexus over here gets clipped by the vulture, and then you have to send a new one. But the main problem is that there is a mine over here, and that's a sine qua non for taking expansions, that you've got to clean them up. And we've got a shuttle, we've got High Templars, we've got Dark Templars. Problem is that Ironbot's got the map, and Banana Brain can't really deal with these mines. How much storm have we got? Oh, we've got quite a few, but Ironbot of course is not about... I've got to place them over here. Oh dear, the mines. The mines are doing so much damage, it's really out of this world. And time is ticking in favor of Ironbot as long as this contains somewhat hold. Oh, the raid now after the Dark Templars with the Observer. Banana Brain is going to move out, but we'll have to fight hard to take control of this map. And High Templars are not really the best unit to fight off mines and vultures and raids, so should be a little bit more careful with those, I feel. So Ironbot right back in the saddle, demonstrating why it is the number 2 bot. And although some mines have been cleared up by this goon brace with observers, a lot of zealots are taking a lot of damage by the same vultures, and the raids are still out there. The third base is operational, and the production capacity of irons is just going to go straight through the roof, while Banana Brain is mining out on the third, and it's trying to retake or take this base again, and it isn't succeeding because the probe cannot deal with the mine, and that is so sad, because otherwise it might have been quite a good game. Science vessel taking a peek at this base. You can see already Banana Brain's army is suffering. It's attrition in the middle of the map, it's vultures and Goliaths and mines, and these zealots will just die a hapless death, and even if they do survive the units, they will step on a mine somewhere and then get killed. The tank core is now rolling up, nice bit of matrixing going on by the science vessel, and the zealots are getting absorbed at the price of 1 matrix and 1 zealot, and that is going to be pretty expensive. The main is out for Banana Brain. Banana Brain has got an arbiter, that's good, but I very much doubt that Ironbot is going to be... Oh dear, is going to be very much impressed by that. It was just too much at this point, and the contain is there. So Banana Brain fought a good fight, but getting stuck on a mine like that is not really something you can get away with in 2018 anymore. Ironbot with the Matrix Goliaths, the Vultures, the Wraiths and the tanks, and of course the Gosu repair. Look at how fast this tank is doing that. And the shuttle is actually ferrying Zealots over to the tanks to try and bomb them by friendly fire. It's a good ploy, but in the end the macro for Banana Brain is just not enough, and Ironbot is solidifying his number 2 position, macroing away happily, doing damage, and with a 50 or 60 versus 4 army supply situation, this game is over. So, last game of today, where you've all been waiting for, it's Locutus, the contender to the throne, and last week was number 1 for a spell, and Crazio was demoted to number 2. Crazio has regained its position, and that is so very impressive. Crazio been on top for so long, and perhaps I can show you that. I can show you the yellow table if it loads. Yeah, there we go. So this red line is Locutus, the blue line is Crazio, and you can see they touched and traded places for a little while. But recently Crazio has come out on top, although it's not as dominant as it used to be, and that's mainly because of Locutus. Locutus doing very well indeed. So, closer look at what these players are doing. Depot, and then a barracks, and then a refinery. So very eco-heavy, then scouting SCV. Locutus, gate first, then a cyber core, lots of probes in the meanwhile, and another gate. So 2 gate with, I think, yeah, there we go, 2 gate range. That looks like a bit of a pressure thing going on. Crazio with the bunker, which is okay. With repair, I think you might hold there. But we'll need tanks as well, because here comes the first goon, and although range is not yet completely done, the goon will be able to exert its pressure on Crazio's bunker. And immediately 2 SCVs are being ferried over, and another goon. Meanwhile, probe production has somewhat stalled because it's rather expensive to build so many goons all at once, but every time I think Locutus should be able to sneak a couple of probes in. Don't know why it's doing so and not doing so. Crazio though is going for, and I think that's going to be siege mode, because where TSMU and Iron go for vulture upgrades. Oh, and the run by! Oh dear, the goons just completely ignore it, and Crazio has got this thing no longer right under control. There is a small gap, there is no wall, this barracks is floating, and the 4 goons hit the main base. Working is disrupted. There is a tank, and the tank kills 1 goon. It should be repaired now, but it isn't. The goons though are going after the SCVs. Oh, and 2 more just ran by, and Crazio being on the brink of death with the 1 tank, and the tank is repaired, but there is there is money, and the last goon dies, and perhaps Crazio has just held this, but at what cost? This was so very tight, and this tank needs to be over here now. Crazio really needs to take run-bys into consideration, because it's not only Locutus which does it, it's also Ironbot. Now with the tank and some more SCVs, this wall looks a lot happier, but I'd also be a lot happier if there were a depot or some kind of a, oh dear, a closing off this choke, because it's so wide, and you could see earlier how much damage has been done. Now with 2 tanks, no SCVs for repair, because the SCV count for Crazio has been severely depleted. Locutus's natural is up and running, but now Locutus will have to face an increasing tank count, and you can see it's hesitating. It should make an assessment of how many tanks are there approximately, then run the gauntlet, get in there, get damage done, and keep Crazio under pressure. Stick your nose in and then retreat is not the way to do it. Your goons will just get damaged and souped in the end. Bam, yep, there you go, 2 blasts and be done with it. If you got this contain, either take a third, do some tech, do a drop, but waiting in and out is not the way to go. Now Crazio is going for some vultures after all, for some map control, and for some mines later on, of course. Now with only 2 tanks, I'd be very hesitant if I were Crazio to move out on the base just yet, onto the map just yet. Now Locutus is coming in, but the bunker, the vultures, exquisitely positioned, and of course the 2 tanks, one of them on the low ground, I don't know what that's about. But for now, oh, here comes the third base for Locutus. Locutus reading this pretty well. Crazier going for the natural. It needs the natural, but it also needs a couple of more tanks. And it's just throwing so much money and effort into the infrastructure, and an academy, and another barracks, and a command center, and one vulture. It needs the tank count to be better than this. It needs mines. Will we have mines? We'll have mines soon too. I think that's the one decision I agree with. But all this extra barracks doesn't really need it. Academy, yes, because there might be Dark Templars, but for Crazio it's now such a narrow game, only so few resources, now a little bit more because of the natural, but you can count on Locutus having the advantage with the third operational right now. Locutus meanwhile is going for more gateways, more pylons, got a citadel, this might be the Templar archives, and still the containers on. Crazio hasn't laid a single mine out on the map. But now with 3 tanks, 4 tanks, the Zealots are reaching the tanks, damage will be done, 1 tank falls, and even though Locutus lost a fair bit of that army it had, if you keep the tank numbers down you can contain Crazio forever, and here comes another base. I think that is the right decision right now, because with the tanks you can't really contend with gateway units. What you can do is wait till this main dries up, and then it will be a one-base situation, and Crazio is really going full balls to the wall infrastructure whilst you're building units, and Locutus can build everything it's got. It's got the 3 versus 2 base situation, which isn't too unusual for a Protoss versus Terran, but Crazio's big Achilles heel right now is its small army, its low tank count, and that it hasn't got a single vulture out on the map. So the map as of yet is being roved by these goons. The map is Locutus's, and Locutus is, wow, Crazio, so many buildings, still many buildings, so much tech, going for a dropship. That's really insane. Oh, I won't call Crazio insane because it's so good, but I'd be much happier if the tank count were increased a little bit, because this army of Locutus's is going to grow and grow, and Locutus got the map. Your main is mining out, you've got to do something, you've got to take at least a third to be able to sustain any kind of competition with Locutus. And although the number of Protoss units killed is atrocious, Crazio hasn't got a single unit out on the map, not one. And for a Terran that is it's disastrous. Now the goons are laying down their lives again at the feet of the tanks with all their long-range fire, 3 more on the low ground, a couple of science vessels overhead. Crazio defensively doing okay, but the big problem is that the main is running out, and Locutus has got so much money, Locutus has got so much tech, and the moment that Locutus starts doing something wacky like recalls or stasis, or you're going to be in such a world of pain. And this straight up engagement thing, it's got the money for it, I don't deny that, but without or with cloak doesn't really matter because of the science vessel. But there are so many tanks by now, the army just dies in this spot and doesn't even reach the tanks anymore, and Crazio's only chance is this, to gather up a large enough tank army to get some vultures out, to get a though, and so lucky with the mines. And Crazio has things well under control. This is a meat grinder, and you're sticking a Protoss goon hand right into it. Blue soup all over the place, and Crazio is increasing in army supply. It had about 10 earlier, and it was on 2 bases then, but now by grace of these tanks it's getting so much better. And if we look at the upgrades, +1 building in mechanized armor is getting done, and now Locutus is grinding even harder, but the cost is so high, and Crazio, there will be a point where Crazio can move out and take a third, and there will be 2 bases again. And you are going to need a little bit more sophisticated. Oh, look at all these tanks on the high ground. This is just bloody murder. And Crazio is advancing the tanks. Should support it with vultures, but losing 2 tanks. But Locutus is losing so much. I think though, with the exchange rate between Protoss dollars and Terran euros, it is going to be in Locutus' favor. It can waste 10 units for Crazio's 1, and this vulture should, yeah, there we go, and that is how you play. Try to get something done on the map, while, oh, keep doing that, and that is so much blue soup. I'd really need this unit portrait, the kill counter in OpenBW. the replay viewer, and here comes the third. And that will be the pivoting point of this game, because if Crazio can set up a decent shot with a good tank line over here, protect its third, he should roll up this tank core from the rear, because these first tanks are very exposed. Locutus has got the map, no question about that, but Crazio, once the tank core reaches a certain critical mass, I don't care how much gateway units without Templars, of course, you throw at it. And again, some tanks are being lost. Lots of tanks are being lost, actually. These tanks aren't coming into the fight at all. More tanks being lost, and I think Locutus has also found the third. So this is the nail in the coffin for Crazio. The main is out. The third is torn to shreds, and still Crazio hasn't been able to move out. Oh, another SCV sneaks out. It is, although the pressure here is enormous, Crazio needs that third base, needs somehow to get that tank core together, and of course the supporting units, because if you haven't got the supporting units, the tanks are vulnerable and the tank core is going to suffer, and you see that right now. Locutus is coming in from all angles. Crazio's army, which was about 17 earlier, is falling precipitously, and Locutus might, with this push, well break the last defense of Crazio. All the army out of position, a couple of tanks on the high ground, but by now Protoss army is so many, it doesn't work anymore. And a nice mine hit here, nice mine hit there, bunker still holding, tanks on the low ground. And of course we've got the science vessels with their matrix, and the bunker is doing a murderous job on these goons. The sad fact of the matter is this base is going to be found and torn to pieces. Crazio hasn't got a chance in the world to reinforce that. You can see Locutus immediately going after the expansion, even completely forsaking the contain. But it's so important. Oh, one mine placed over here. It's so important for Locutus not to let Crazio out of the box. And now the natural is getting low. Locutus has done wonders, and Crazio at this point just hasn't got the eco to do anything with that. Killing goons left and right, but you can see the army disparity is 3-1 for Locutus, and economy wise it's much worse than that. Main mine out, natural mine out, third mine out, but still two bases in full swing, another base taken, Vulture being killed over there, and the army of Locutus, the inglorious, unbeatable army for Locutus, taking down another third. The priority at this point is incredibly well set. Don't let Crazio get a third no matter what you do, and then you can just take your sweet time, roll him over with your superior army. It's 8-1, 10-1, 11-1, and the army of Crazio is no more. The bunker will fall. And that's all done without High Templars, without Weavers, without air units, without Arbiters. And I think that as soon as Locutus will incorporate that into its late game, it will be even more murderous than it is now. So Crazio holding the #1 position, but it is not a given that it will win any game versus Locutus, by no means. So congratulations to Locutus for this game, and I thank all the authors and all the watchers very much. I say thank you for watching and see you again next week. Goodbye!